This is a Flying Cow production.
Well, hello and welcome back to the Great Film Challenge. I, of course, am your host, Clay Johnson, the Flying Cow himself, and here with me is my nephew, Aaron. Aaron, how we doing today, buddy?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm doing all right, So we are here today to talk about the next film in our little challenge here, and that film is we spun the wheel and we landed on Dr. Strangelove, the film from, let's see, what year did it come out? 1964. It was directed by Stanley Kubrick, and it starred Peter Sellers, of course, George C. Scott, Sterling Hayden, Keenan Wynn, Slim Pickens, Tracy Reed, many more, including a very young James Earl Jones, which I pointed out to Aaron. This is basically kind of like a satirical black comedy, very political, especially at the time, honestly, pretty salient now as well. So Aaron, obviously this was on the wheel of the films that you had not seen before.
Yes.
Had you ever heard of this film?
Nope.
You had no clue.
Not at all.
You were like Dr. Strangelove, so it's a movie about Dr. Strange falling in love, right? Is that what you're thinking? No.
No. If you've been listening before, probably not what I would have thought of.
Okay. So you had no knowledge of this film.
No.
You went into it completely blind. You'd never even heard of it before. When you heard the title, what did pop into your head as to what you thought the movie might be about?
The first one, I was like not super sure. It didn't really give a lot of detail.
Yeah.
But the alternate title, that gave me like a few ideas.
Sure. Yes, he is referring to the expanded title, which is, of course, Dr. Strangelove, or How I Learned to Stop Worrying and Love the Bomb. That one definitely gives a little bit more away about what the film might be about. Obviously, this is 64, right in the heart of the Cold War.
Yep.
This is a time in, American politics when, everyone is afraid that at any minute there could be some sort of mistake or, some sort of nuclear war break out with Russia.
Yep.
Which would basically lead to mutually assured destruction. It's all based on egos and the egos of men, primarily, because they are the political figures that for some reason we've decided to exclusively put in charge.
Yep.
That's what we had then. And I think you actually were the first person to point out, obviously I'm thinking it as we're watching the movie.
Yeah.
But you actually pointed out that this felt very reminiscent of things that we're dealing with today.
Yeah.
Yeah. You felt like it
just in general.
Yeah. Obviously this is a film podcast. We don't want to get too into politics, but it's a political film. So, there are going to be things that are going to come out here. The whole film hinges on, and this is not subtext, this is straight up spoken dialogue.
Yeah.
If you don't remember it, go back and watch the film. But it is, the whole film is about basically a nuclear strike that is set off by a
like
is he a general or
he's
just
either
like
commander or captain or something? I don't know.
Yeah, I was about to say, I don't think he's even he might be a general. Let me see. It is okay, so it's Air Force Brigadier General Jack D. Ripper. But I mean, obviously Jack the Ripper is kind of the connotation there. Yeah. But it's, he basically creates a perfect storm of, tells his men that something is happening.
Yeah.
They have no reason not to question him. And when the alert gets put on to other people, it takes a while before anybody starts to question these orders.
Yep.
And when it comes right down to it, and he explains why he did all this, it comes down to the fact that he was not able to perform the way he wanted to with a woman. So instead of admitting that as an aging man, maybe he just might not be able, maybe physically his body is failing him, instead of being able to admit a failing, he decides to create a conspiracy theory about the Russians stealing his bodily fluids. Which, yes, I mean, it just teaches us how dangerous male ego and ultimately fear and hatred can be. Because he made those decisions based on those things, but we're in the place that we were for that man to have that power to do that because of the fear of each power that the other one would destroy them, and the hatred that each side had for each other, and those things just never lead to good places. They just don't. But enough of my soapbox. What did you think about this film, Aaron? I know you told me earlier that, we watched this a couple of weeks ago now, and you were telling me that the more you thought about it, the more you enjoyed it. So what kind of thoughts have been running through your head?
At first, when we a bit after we first watched it, it was enjoyable. Definitely funny.
Yeah. How long did it take you to realize it was a comedy?
A bit into the movie,
because this is one of those weird films that it does kind of play on the line, and if you're not paying attention to the dialogue, especially in the first little bit, or even if you're not catching on to the fact that some of the people's performances are a little more heightened than they normally would, then it does play pretty straight for quite a while. It takes a while for the nonsense of it to really, catch hold.
Yeah. I think when it fully set in that it was a comedy, at least for me, was when the president is on the phone with the premier.
Yes. Honestly, I love that whole conversation because he's talking to him like a
family member.
Yeah, like it's Dimitri, we talked about this. we Dimitri, and it's just like he's not talking to him like he's talking to a president.
I'm not happy either.
Yeah, he's talking to him like he's talking to a child. It's like, yeah, we agreed upon this, Dimitri. Dimitri, I never said that. It's like and at times it's almost like he's talking to a partner, even an ex-lover or something.
I love you too.
Yeah,
okay, bye.
It's great. Oh man, I love that stuff. But yeah, so sorry, I cut you off. But what were you saying before?
I don't know.
Well, I mean, we were talking about
How it's
how
a comedy.
how it's a comedy, but how you liked the film more as you
Just
have been thinking about it.
retrospect, if I think I'm remembering how to use that right, but like looking back at
Yes.
it, just things that didn't stick out as funny as they were to me are way funnier now, and it
Sure.
makes me just want to go back and rewatch it again.
Yeah.
Because with Jack D. Ripper and that British guy,
Yeah.
and the one general who was just absolutely ridiculous, like so eccentric and obnoxious.
You're talking about the George C. Scott character that's in there with the president
Yeah,
the whole time?
Yeah, he gets called in.
Yes.
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
with his wife or whatever.
Okay, so here's a little tidbit about George C. Scott, and I'm pretty sure that it's true. At least this is a story that's been passed around. So, his performance it's kind of ridiculous. It's very over the top and very gung ho and very,
It makes me think of forgot his name, but the one in Monsters vs. Aliens. They have the same comedic aspect.
Oh, okay, sure, yeah, but I mean, like I said, his performance is very over the top, and the story is that initially he was trying to play it a lot more understated, and he was honestly trying to play it a bit more grounded. Because I don't know that everyone knew the tone of humor that, I mean, obviously Peter Sellers was on board for it, but I think a lot of other people were trying to play it more straight. And I mean, I think that actually goes into kind of the
theme.
I mean, yeah, to the aspect, because like I said, a lot of it is played very straight. It's really only in bits and pieces that you get how big of a joke the whole movie is.
Because if you look at the people who were next to the president when he was getting in a beef with him, they were completely serious, like dead eye him.
Oh yeah, and
then the president.
and then but so George C. Scott apparently was trying to play it very grounded, very understated type of thing, and apparently Stanley Kubrick kept pushing him to do more, and he goes, okay, I'll do it just to practice, not telling George C. Scott. And so Stanley was just like, oh yeah, just to practice or whatever. But he ended up using those takes, because that's what he wanted. And apparently George C. Scott was very upset when he saw the finished product, because that's not the way he wanted to play it. But that's what, and honestly, I mean, I get it. I think he thought it made the character look too silly. But honestly, I think that character needs to be silly.
Yeah,
because
it really reinforces the whole thing.
Well, and he's the character that is the most like, well, we can catch them with their pants down, sir. It's just like, I don't care what your background. That is a stupid point to take in the terms of a nuclear war. Half the world left. That's fine.
It'll be okay.
Yeah, exactly. It's like that is a ridiculous side to take. So that character needs to be ridiculous.
Yeah.
But yeah. So I mean, what else were you taken by?
I loved the stupid, like, even though it was in separate bits, the conversation between General Jack and the one guy.
It's Group Captain Mandrake.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then after
Which
that,
that is one of Peter Sellers' 3 characters.
wow.
So we haven't actually talked about this. So he played 3 different characters in the film. One of them was Group Captain Lionel Mandrake. Even though he's very twee and very British, probably the straightest of the characters that he played. I mean, obviously there's some comedic bits with him. But his other 2 characters were the President Merkin Muffley,
Yep.
which yeah, I'm not going to explain all of that to you. You can ask your mother about that. There's it's a joke.
Okay.
We'll just say that they refer to. Yeah, we'll talk about it later. But he plays the President, and he also plays Dr. Strangelove.
Yeah.
He was apparently supposed to also play the Slim Pickens character in the airplane, but 3 characters was enough.
Yeah. Especially those 3.
Yeah, well, and I mean, you mentioned the film is named for Dr. Strangelove, even though the character's not there very much, but he does make
He is fairly significant.
Exactly. He makes quite an impression in the 2 scenes that he's in.
Yeah.
So yeah. So he's playing all 3 of these characters. But what were you saying about the Mandrake character that you
seeing Mandrake just absolutely baffled by Jack's rant was very interesting,
and his obsession with our bodily fluids.
And he has that bit about the water or whatever. I can't remember it completely. I only drink pure or rainwater or something. Purified rainwater.
Well, it was grain alcohol and rainwater. Which, I mean, that's just
not good for you.
I mean, grain alcohol is my God, are you trying to kill yourself? But then, because there's a point before he explains it, there's a point at which he asks the captain to make him a drink of grain alcohol and rainwater. And I was just like, is that a joke? What is that about? But then, obviously he talks about, he's all about, pure stuff and, trying to, protect his bodily fluids, and then goes on a tirade about how horrible fluoride is. Do you know what fluoride is?
Yeah.
It's been put into the water supply to help our teeth. Nothing wrong with that.
Nope.
But there have been a few conspiracy theorists that have basically talked about the dangers of fluoride, that it's somehow controlling people's minds. And I'm just like, what? No. So yeah, just some ridiculous conspiracy theory stuff.
I also liked seeing after that Mandrake with the other one,
Keenan Wynn,
Mr. B Guano.
Oh yes,
or whatever his name was,
Bat Guano. Yeah, Colonel Bat Guano.
Yeah.
I mean, his whole thing, just a stickler for rules, but not just a stickler for the rules, a stickler for ridiculous rules.
Yeah.
Because they have shot up this entire base, and he's basically saying, I've got the code to call this whole thing off.
Yep.
This shouldn't be happening. I need to get to a phone. He gives him such a hard time about getting to the phone. They finally get to the phone, and he's like, I need change. I have no change. Shoot open the Coke machine, and he's just like, he's just like, I don't. He's like, that is property of the Coca-Cola company. I am not going to just like, you just shut up the whole place and you're afraid of the Coca-Cola company? What the heck? It's just these ridiculous priorities, you know? But yeah, some really funny stuff. What else were some of your favorite bits?
Those are the ones I remember the most.
Yeah.
Some bits with the ambassador were pretty funny.
Mm-hmm.
And Strangelove was interesting,
Mm-hmm.
but I was not paying close enough attention, or at least enjoying it as much as I would now, to like fully lock in and understand what he was saying.
Right.
I could mostly pick out what he was saying, though.
Yeah. I will say, I feel like this is one of those films that you can enjoy more on a rewatch when you kind of get the vibe. I will say, the first time I watched it, it also took me a while to like. I was on board for this being like straight, and I was just like, honestly, I was confused at first because I was like, I thought this was supposed to be a comedy, but it felt very straight to me until, like I said, at that certain point when it becomes obvious that it's ridiculous. And then, you know, it took me a while to really kind of, you know, settle with that. So then when I have watched it again in previous, the more I can pick up the more subtle humor at the beginning and things like that. And so, yeah, it's definitely one that can be more enjoyable on rewatches. But I think that you can, you know, as you have gotten quite a bit out of it in a first viewing as well.
Yeah.
All right. Well, is there anything else that you want to say about this before we wrap this up?
I don't really think so. I think just randomly, it honestly probably wouldn't have even contributed anything. But maybe it would come with the subtitles, seeing what the ambassador and Alexi were saying just for fun.
I mean, sure. The scene when, you know, the ambassador is talking to the premier on the phone. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I feel like the humor there was more in the reactions of them.
Yeah.
You know, because that is the reveal of or they're talking about the fact that the whole you know, doomsday thing has been set up.
And I was gonna say, like, I would like to see if it probably is, we just didn't see it, if it was being handled the exact same way on their side.
Sure.
It would have just been the same setup of people, but different ones, and
sure,
that would have been pretty funny.
Sure.
Seeing them both act that dumb.
All right. Well, let's go ahead and let's wrap this one up then. Just to let people know, you can contact us, of course, on all of our socials at the Flying Cow Pod. You can also email at theflyingcowpod@gmail.com. Let us know what you're thinking about the show, and you know what movies that are on our list that you're looking forward to hearing about from us. But Aaron, why don't we go ahead and let's give that wheel a spin to figure out our next film. Which wheel are we going to spin from this time, buddy?
Let's do Unseen again.
All right, let's do another Unseen. So you got the wheel ready?
Yep.
All right, let's go ahead and spin that wheel.
Ooh. Okay.
What did it land on?
3 Idiots.
3 Idiots. All right. If memory serves me correctly, I think that's another Indian film. Is it not?
I don't know.
Okay, we'll look it up. I think it is though. All right. Well, that is what we will be talking about next time. So thank you guys for listening. I hope you enjoyed it. We look forward to having you then. But until that time, moo.
Moo.